Good morning, everybody. Thank you for those attending in person, and to those on the Zoom. We will get started shortly. If there's any callers in person today who have a public comment, please fill out a card in the back of the room and bring it up front. If there's anyone on the Zoom, please raise your hand so we can take down your information. I see first caller, Audit LA. If you could go ahead and let us know if you have general public comment today or comment on one of our agenda items.
Hi, good morning. I want public comment and I want to speak my full 10 minutes on every single item, please.
Thank you. Next caller with their hand raised is caller Mona M. If you could let us know if you have general public comment or comment on any of our agenda items today.
Good morning. General public comment, please.
Thank you very much. We will start the meeting shortly. Hi. Yeah, when we have quorum, we'll get started. Oh, okay, perfect. Okay, great. Let me set us into record mode and then we'll go ahead and start the meeting. Okay, we are now recording. We're ready to get started. Perfect. Okay. Good morning, Vice President Villegas. Good morning, Commissioners. Devin Zatorsky with the Board of Public Works. It's 10:06 a.m. and taking roll and establishing quorum. Today, we have Vice President Villegas, Commissioner Corsand, and Commissioner Reyes all present, and we have a quorum. We're also joined by our City Attorney Representative, Ms. Adina Hoppenstand. And once again, I'm Devin Zatorsky with the Board of Public Works. Vice President Villegas, we have 2 public speaker cards, maybe 3, let me check. 3 general public comments and 1 speaker under all items on the agenda today.
Okay. Thank you very much. Then welcome everyone to the regularly scheduled meeting for the Board of Public Works for September 13th, 2024 at 10:06. And Ms. Tursky, did you establish quorum already?
I did, yes.
Yes, you did. I thought so. All right. Then I understand we have 2 items that are continued, items 3 and 6. Is that correct?
Correct. Item 3 is withdrawn, and then item 6 will be continued to September 18th. And we can make that announcement again once
Okay.
we
All right.
get through the agenda.
All right, so then we have items 3 and 6 that have been withdrawn, and item 6 will be heard on the 18th. Okay. Good morning. All right, then let's get started with general public comment. Do we have that?
Yes, we have,
And then just for the record, we have Pro Tem Davis here as well.
yes, so we have, thank you. But yes, we have general public comment all via the Zoom platform, none in person as of yet, and so we'll go ahead and get started. Caller Audit LA, if you could go ahead and unmute yourself, you have 2 minutes for general public comment.
Yes, good morning. Here we are again, week after week, twice a week after week, and we're still having the same issues. And I'm trying to figure out why, okay? Why is Scientology still getting permit after permit granted to them? Even though, like a 4th Street closure or a 4th sidewalk closure, I'm not completely sure yet on the details, but for something that they're having on their own property, why do they have to shut everything down? And let me see, we still have the fire lane issues. There's no fire lane as of yet, even though they have more, what looks like unpermitted activity on, after the quake from yesterday. They have scaffoldings up. We don't see a permit. Also, the planters, which I have been told have been ordered to be removed, have not been removed. So I'm asking why, and I'm asking all of you a direct question. A, are you Scientologists yourselves? B, are you safe pointed by Scientology to the point where you will not do what's in the best interest of the public? Or C, are you so afraid of Scientology because you know what they do? When if you're considered an enemy of Scientology, they found that out. The police and the prosecutors found that out when it came to the Danny Masterson case. So I'm trying to figure out what it is that's keeping you from doing your jobs. And in the meantime, and since you won't do your jobs, I'm asking every one of you to resign, to step down, and to allow people to come into this position that will do what's right for the people. The people want their street back. The people want safety fire lanes. The people don't want a bunch of planners that are ADA non-compliant. They don't want unpermitted work going on in their area. It's dangerous. And you won't do it. You will sit there and interrupt me when my time is up, or if I'm not on agenda items, if I'm not speaking on
2
the,
minutes.
you'll
Thank you,
quit to
caller.
do your job.
All right, our next public comment on the Zoom, we have caller Mona M. If you could go ahead and unmute yourself, you'll have 2 minutes.
Thank you for the time to allow to speak. I don't think that I could say it more eloquently than the previous speaker just did. L. Ron Hubbard Way. The fire lane is not open. And the other day, when I spoke in front of you, I was giving you credence and I was giving you an accommodation for the fact that the Department of Justice ADA violations were going to be removed, those planners. And unfortunately, I looked yesterday and they're still there. And there were supposed to at least be notifications put on the planners. No notifications on the planners. And I'm just wondering, where are you as a board? Where are you as a city attorney? And the attorney of choice, where are you on making sure that the law is being enforced? Thank you, and I yield back my time.
Thank you, caller. And we have another hand raised on the Zoom. Caller Yvonne, do you have general public comment today or comment on one of our agenda items?
Yes, I do have comment today, and I would like to comment on all the issues that remain on the agenda.
Okay, great. You can go ahead and get started on your general public comment. You'll have 2 minutes.
Okay. My general public comment is also regarding the permits and uh, situations dealing with the labor specifically utilized by the Church of Scientology. And the scaffolding, as an example, was put up yesterday. There were 2 men from the contractor that drove the truck and delivered the equipment, but in assistance, they received assistance of 4 members of the Sea Organization. Now, the primary concern is those members are paid $50 a week. Some of those are members that are welcomed into this country under the R1 visa program. And very specifically, they cannot do particular types of labor. And these municipal, state, and federal labor laws are not being given the oversight that your agency is obligated to provide when it comes to the performance of uh, uh, permitted activities, whether that's on public property or on the private property of the Church of Scientology. These category of workers should not be doing heavy construction. And the absence of posted permits continues to be a problem. That concludes my general comment today, but I do want to speak to the other issues on the agenda.
Thank you, caller. We'll call on those when we get to those items. Thanks.
Okay. And we have general public comment. I have a comment card from John.
I wish to thank the city clerk's office because of this commission. They provide me your agenda in Braille. You've gone out of your way to make sure I don't have it. Second issue, I've dealt with the city attorney's office. It appears someone wanted a workplace violence restraining order against me because how I speak and my tone and so forth. And I said, that's fine, but I just want to make sure this individual that wants a work violence restraining order against me knows what an anti-SLAPP is. And I would hire one of my colleagues to represent me to get the money. And that means if this individual has a spouse, we're in a community property state, and anti-SLAPP goes against everything. And I'm pretty good at what I do. So discrimination is not very nice. This board has done nothing to accommodate me to obtain Braille. The city clerk's office spoke to, I think it's TJ, and his attitude, the person's attitude is, I don't recall, I don't recall, I don't recall, I don't recall. So they went out and bought a Braille machine, not at my request, to stop this nonsense. This is one of the departments that they thought was nonsense. The Department of Neighborhood Empowerment was another nonsense department. But you've gone out of your way to make sure you don't accommodate someone with visual impairment. The code says alternative format, but it appears you just don't care. Just don't care. So, to the person that asked for the work violence restraining order, do it. I encourage you. And make sure to ask your attorney what an anti-SLAPP motion is, which you will be personally liable. And I'm very good at debtor's exams and doing everything. Thank you.
All right, and we have another person for 2 minutes with the letter B. We have another person. If you're asking the question, then you must know it's you.
The card said bitch.
I don't need to say the word. I can just say B.
The card read
Your time is running.
bitch.
Your
That's
time
the
is
public
running,
comment card, right?
and this is your first and
I
only
know,
warning.
I'm advising you to read the fucking public comment card because it's a public record. It's a public record.
Take up your 2
Don't be a
minutes any
dumb
which way
bitch.
that you like.
Madam Attorney, correct the bitch and tell her it's a public document. It's for the record.
He's off his meds.
Thank you. So, understanding public works, let me give you some ideas about parks, for example. We all know who federal judge David O. Carter is, right? Federal Judge Carter. In his debate with Steve Soboroff, a former one-time LA Park Commissioner. What were the obstacles? A former commissioner was depriving the public, meaning veterans, disabled like myself, and other members of the public who are non-disabled in circumstances where these medians, these obstacles that you put on the fucking sidewalks and streets are hindering our safety and our pedestrian views of how to walk on a fucking public sidewalk. The dumb cunt, your mayor, the dumb bitch who grandstands, the fucking asshole that don't do shit but fail, Trump! And the reason behind that, and let me read it into the record. I want the easiest way out. I want to get done without all these privileged people going to their privileged lawyers, going to their privileged senators, going to their privileged council members, and going to Congress. Fuck Congress, fuck the DA, and fuck you, America. You're done. You done shit. You're a failure to society. You're a failure to humanity. God hates you. You're going to hell. Snyder versus Phelps, for the record.
All right, Ms. Zadarsky, do we have any other public comments?
No, that's the end of our public comment today, or
All
general
right,
public comment.
thank you. And do we have any neighborhood council comments?
No neighborhood council commentary.
All right, do we have a second to my motion to approve the minutes for August 30th?
Second.
All right, Ms. Zadarsky, we have a motion by myself and a second by Pro Tem Davis to approve the minutes.
Okay, we will take roll call, starting with you, Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Corsan.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
All ayes, the item is adopted and the minutes are approved.
Great. All right, then let's get started with item number 1. We have a person with the letter B for public comment. Person with the letter B for public comment. All right, I called that 3 times and they're not here. All right, then let's go on to Zoom.
You called my name? B. I be him to speak.
Okay, go ahead. You have the floor.
So many times the issues about the First Amendment. Personally, I am the First Amendment. I steer the First Amendment. I'm the narrative of the First Amendment. And I direct the directions of this First Amendment from month to month on the basis of non-discrimination. And the reason is because the mayor's pursuant to Executive Directive number 3 regarding, is that Villa Ragosa, the dumb dick former mayor series? I'm not sure, but fuck Mariposa landscapers. Anyone can do a job in landscaping. Look at me, a wetback. Dark, handsome, and have the ability to maintain my property, keep it clean, do the greatest job ever in landscaping, trim the trees, trim the brush, pull the weeds, smoke a little weed here, smoke a little weed there, and have all this enjoyment in life only because I know what Grand Canal and the Bologna Lagoon look like. It looks like shit. So if you really have a maintenance for this type of work, hire a wetback like me or a wet nigger like me or a dumb Caucasian nigger like me too. Because I think I can do a better job than most people here. Matter of fact, I am the best. God told me. God told me that I'm the best motherfucker for the job. And that's why I'm here today in protest. I want more than just one opinion about Mariposa Landscapes Incorporation. I want several others posted in the papers so we know what kind of fucked up business we're getting.
Is that it?
That was our public comment in person for item one. We have two more on the Zoom, so we'll go ahead
Okay, go right ahead,
and
please.
take those. Caller on the Zoom, Audit LA, you'll have 2 minutes for item number one.
Yes, first point of clarification. I hope we weren't muted to suppress free speech. As much as I'm repulsed by the speech, I hate it. I am a proponent of free speech, and you don't have a right to press the mute button. That being said, on this agenda item, I am going to ask that you be mindful, which is asking a lot because you guys have not been mindful so far about the ADA community when it comes to the canals. I am requesting that everything be made ADA compliant, and I'm going to ask a special request that you put all signage in Braille. There's every sign, by the canals, if there's any kind of anything for the public, I'm going to ask that you put it in Braille. I am not going to forget our visually impaired ADA brothers and sisters. So I'm going to ask you again, put it in Braille. On the, and on this agenda item, on this project, I want Braille all over the place. I want every sign in Braille, and I want every sign in Braille. Okay? And I want it in Braille. I want it in Braille. I want signs in Braille. Okay? Put the signs in Braille, please. You can tell me when my 2 minutes is up. I want it in Braille.
This
I
is for
want
the
it in Braille.
landscape, Mariposa
Yes, I
landscape.
want all the landscaping. I
Please
want
stick
all
to the item at hand.
orders in Braille. I want
This
everything
is
in
your
Braille
first
regarding
warning.
this. Now, I'll get back the rest of my time because I only have 10 minutes. But I want everything related to this in Braille. Thank you.
City Attorney, if you can please clarify?
All public comment on agenda items must be restricted to the agenda item or else it's
That's
disruptive.
what I'm
as
talking
noted.
about.
can
I'm
turn her
talking
off,
about
please.
on the canal.
That's 2 minutes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. And there's no loud noises during this meeting for interruption. That's, if, City Attorney, if you can just make note of that. This is the second warning for the person who's been submitting comment cards with the letter B.
And has been making noises and interrupting the conduct of the meeting otherwise. Understood.
Yeah. You have not been called up to the speak.
I heard the letter B.
You can please go get seated.
Oh, okay. I was mistaken. I thought I heard it.
This is your second warning.
For what? What did I do, lady? I heard my name B called, and I'm up here to ask.
You're making noises in the back and it's interrupting our meeting. And I asked for no noises.
We have one more public comment on the Zoom for item one.
Okay.
Caller Yvonne, if you have public comment on item number one, please go ahead. You'll have 2 minutes.
Thank you. The Venice Canal project,
Please
I
stick to the
understand
item at
its
hand.
currentness.
This is a First Amendment for a personal service contract for Mariposa Landscape, nothing to do with the Venice canals. City Attorney, if you can
Okay.
please correct as well.
It's a landscaping contract associated with the Venice canals, but as long as the comment is on the topic.
Got it.
It is on the topic of the Venice
It is
canals
on topic.
and
My apologies.
and any future contract. The ADA compliance is important, but I'm also concerned about the development of the long-term goal of the wetlands and those places where liquefaction and raising sea levels need to be addressed. I understand the temporary nature of this current contract, but I'm asking the board to have a longer view in regards to wetlands and areas subject to liquefaction. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. That's the end of our public comments for
right.
item 1.
All right, then, for item 1, we have Mr. Hector Banuelos, so I'll just read the item into the record. And this is Bureau of Street Services, and this is in Council District 11, and it's recommending that the board, First Amendment to Personal Service Contract for Mariposa Landscape, Inc., recommending that the board approve and forward this report with transmittals to the mayor pursuant to Executive Director number 3, with the request that the board be authorized to execute First Amendment to the PSC with Mariposa Landscape, Inc. to extend the term of the contract on a month-to-month basis for the maintenance and cleaning of the Venice Canal, Grand Canal, and Bayona Lagoon. And number 2, authorize the president or 2 members of the board to execute the First Amendment upon approval by the mayor and city council. Welcome.
Good morning, Vice President Villegas and Commissioners. My name is Hector Banuelos. I'm with Streets LA Urban Forestry Division. And what we have before us is a request for the board to allow Streets LA to execute a month-to-month agreement with Mariposa Landscapes for maintenance of the Venice canals. The maintenance contract is scheduled to terminate the end of this month. And Streets LA is currently processing a new request for proposals. And we're asking this month-to-month contract agreement to go up to a period of 1 year to allow us time to complete the process of the notice to request, the request for proposals. The scope of the contract includes the lagoon area and wetland area there in the community of Venice. Wetland area, as we know, is a very environmentally sensitive area. And so the contractors are doing weed abatement, litter abatement, control, monitoring of the tides, and to ensure that the canals do not have any severe problems of flooding and or they go dry. They do a lot of dredging. At this time of year, they're starting dredging operations to control the algae growth within the canal area. The initial proposal there of for Mariposa commenced in October of 2021. As I mentioned, it is scheduled to expire, contract scheduled to expire at the end of this month. It's a 3-year contract. Actually, it's a 3-year contract. And so we are moving to produce a new request for proposals. So that pretty much concludes the presentation, and we're asking that the board allow the Bureau to proceed with this request for on a month-to-month basis so that we can continue providing maintenance and the tide gate monitoring that's needed in the Venice Canal area.
Thank you. Commissioners, do we have any questions on this item? No. All right, do we have a motion to approve this item? All right. Yeah, we have a motion by Commissioner Reyes and a second by Pro Tem Davis.
Great. We'll take roll call, starting with you, Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Corsan.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
Great. All ayes. The item is adopted and carries forthwith.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go on then to item number 2, and why don't we take up folks on Zoom first, Ms. Zadarsky?
All
public
right.
comment.
Caller, Audit LA, you'll have 2 minutes to speak on item 2.
Yes, hi. I would like to speak to the architects that are working or building or designing the Vision Theater. I love theaters. I'm glad to see theaters being built. It's funny how we're speaking about Braille today and we're talking about Vision Theater. So again, I hope everything related to this item, including architects, the papers, everything is in Braille for our blind people to be, our visually impaired people to be able to read and know what's going on, to be able to enjoy the theater. You know, sometimes signs are posted up, whatever. Please make sure it's in Braille. Okay. I also want to make sure that the planters outside are ADA compliant, so people can get in and off of their transit vehicles without having to have to go blocks away because it's not ADA compliant. Because we know if they do that, we can come back here for a million years and you're not going to do anything. So I also want to speak on the budget. Why is the budget always goes up? It never does. It ever go down? That's what I want to know. Does it ever go down? Do they ever give money back? We all have to live within our budgets, right? I mean, and our city budget's not a whole, like it all goes to LAPD. Let's just be honest. They get all of it. They get all the gifts. They get all of it. So we have a smaller piece of the pie for, actual things like theaters and bridges and streets and ADA compliant sidewalks, potholes, repair from earthquakes, etc. So can you please ask everyone that comes before here to be mindful of budgets? Can you please continue to ask tough questions? And then can you please provide Braille to our visually impaired people who come to these meetings? I yield back the rest of my time.
Thank you, caller. We have another public comment on the Zoom. Is caller Yvonne? If you could go ahead and unmute yourself.
You unmuted
Hello.
instead.
Yvonne?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Do you want to-
Presume that I have read the entire packet, not just the 2 pages summary, when I make my comments. In this case, the 2-page summary suggests that there is an amendment price increase of a little over $11,000. And in the summary numbers, the change is not specified as to what is the cause of the change estimate. And the number 800,330,432 is evident in one of the tables, but the original number is not shown. So the chart is not communicative to the public trying to make a fair assessment. In addition, on the complete packet, pages 476 to 496 are not legible. And therefore, I suggest that you put aside this item until the entire packet can be reviewed by the public. Thank you.
Thank you, caller.
Okay, thank you. Is that all for the Zoom?
Yes, for the Zoom comments.
Great. All right, then we have another card. We have a card for item number 2 with the letter B.
Is that my turn? Lady?
Is
Hey, lady. Is that my turn?
It
Well,
says my name's
here's the
Marcia.
issue here. The issue is this the Renaissance era? Because you're putting up more art, more statues, and it's all fucking worthless. And the reason is because you have people who vandalize the shit. People don't give a fuck anymore. People don't have a fucking idea the value of what art does for my mind and for your stupidity as ignorant, belligerent assholes that don't realize that the only art at a time that was art was Renaissance art. Let's use a name, Michelangelo. Yeah, the great artistic man of our time. He talked about a budget, but he was paid to do the fucking job. He wasn't coursed. He wasn't paid under the table. He wasn't bribed. Do you not understand that, Miss President? He wasn't bribed. This fucking city is paid and bribed to put up shit in our nigger communities, in our wetback neighborhoods, because you give us shit. Not like the West Side, those pricks in Beverly Hills have more art that looks better than the shit you're putting over here with us wetbacks and us niggers. So if you want to call me dirty, then let's just say I'm a dirty nigger too. But the issue here, as I brought out, is that the revised task order, as you see this budget, as I heard in the budget, doesn't reflect a contingency, because there's overcosts that go into art for displaying it, exhibiting it. That should be included, not this fucking measly chump change of $821, $260 to $833, $100,000. Fucking chump change. and you're fucking stupid. Provide us ADA compliance with telecommunication on the
That's 2
TV
minutes.
monitor,
That's 2 minutes.
dumbass.
That's the end of our public comment for item 2.
All right, thank you. All right, so item number 2 is joint report with BOE and BCA for all districts, and it's revised task order solicitation number 104 and 106 under contract amendment number 5, SFSY Architects, recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to issue a revision for the task number 104 to FSY Architects, Inc., increasing the budget authority from $821,260 to $833,432 for architectural engineering services for the Vision Theater Manchester Junior Center Arts Project. And number 2, authorize the city engineer to issue a revision for the task order number 106 to FSY, increasing the budget authority from $946,000 to $1,133,828 to provide architectural engineering, design, and construction administrative services for the project phase numbers 2, 3, 4, and 5. And number 3, approve the revised, never mind, just those 2. Go ahead. Yeah, Mr. Fierce, sorry about that.
Yes, good morning. Hi,
I'm
Steve.
sorry. You have a revised status of funding table contained in this report, is that correct?
The, yes, the revised is in the report. Is that, I'm sorry, was that the question?
Yeah, it says number 3 is approve the revised status of funding table contained in this report. And you have a table for revised funding for the project.
Yes, that is in the report.
Okay.
So good morning, yes. Hi, so I'm Steve Fierce, I'm the principal architect.
Yeah, just speak into the mic.
Oh.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Yes, good morning. I am Steve Fierce, I'm the principal architect, Bureau of Engineering. And the Vision Theater Manchester Junior Arts Project, Phase 1 of the project was designed by FSY, which started in 2005, almost 20 years ago. Design for phases 2 and 3, 4, and 5 were initiated, the design for phases 2 and 3 were initiated with FSY in February of 2013, which is almost 12 years ago. The FSY contract has a total of 7 tasks, and all of those are deemed complete at this time. To summarize this report, the recommendations in this report, the report is asking to increase the budget authority for TAS 104, which was issued in 2013, by $12,172, and to increase the budget authority for TAS 106 by $187,828, and lastly, to revise the funding tables that are shown in this report. So, going back a bit here, so in time, on March 24th, 2004, the City of Los Angeles executed the pre-qualified on-call contract between the city and FSY, then known as Fisher Siegel and Yeraz Inc., providing architectural consulting services for various municipal facility projects. So on March 23, 2022, the board recommended approval of amendment of the number 5 to extend the contract term for 2 additional years through March 21st. The contract, I just want to clarify one thing real quick. March 21st. My goodness, where is it? I apologize. I'm just trying to find the year. Well, the contract was extended to March 21st of 2024. My apologies. The contract extension, as approved in amendment number 5, enabled the consultant to complete TAS number 106, and this was for phases 2, 3, 4, and 5. of an added scope of the project, which was currently in construction, but the design work is now complete. So, per the February 25, 2013 board report, the city engineer requested authorization to issue the sole source of TOS 104 to FSY and to provide the architectural engineering design services for the project with the budget authority of $821,260. So in 2016, the remaining scope of TOS 104 was transitioned to TOS 106. So during this time, building code changes had led to additional services in the amount of $12,172, which were not accounted for in TOS 104. So, into the TOS transition to 106. The revision of the TOS 104 amended the budget authority from $821,260 to $833,432, and it accounts additional services amounted for the completion of TOS 104. So on October 27th, 2021, the board approved the request to revise TOS number 106 to FSY, increasing the budget authority from $646,000 to $946,000 for the architectural design. So as stated previously, the FSY contract has a total of 7 tasks and all are deemed completed. Collectively, the total NTPs, the notices to proceed, letters in the amount of $1,945,847.55 have been issued to FSY for these 2 tasks, task 104 and 106. Both TOSs number 104 and 106 are now complete, with a total invoiced amount of $833,106.05 for TOS 104. For FSY, for all subconsultants have been fully invoiced. No further invoices, billing for TOS 104 will occur. So with the latest contract amendment number 5, which expired on March 21, 2024, BOE requested and received concurrence from the commissioners to issue a final NTP for TOS number 106 on an emergency basis for work that will be funded by this board report. This will allow for FSY and all the subconsultants to issue a final invoice for the TOS number 106 following the board's authorization of the budget authority increase from $946,000 to $1,133,828. This project is subject to the MBE WB OBE subcontractor outreach program requirements, and the city set anticipated participation levels of 12% MBE and 2% WBE. On February 25th, 2013, at the time of this TOS was issued, the consultant pledged participation levels of 5.46% MBE and 13.71% WBE. As of this report for phases 2, 3, 4, and 5, the business inclusion participation goals achieved for TOS's 104 are 5.79% MBE and 12.15% WBE participation. And for TOS 106, the business inclusion participation goals achieved are 6.15% MBE and 6.91% WBE participation. For TOS 104 and 106, will not have the funding for this will not have an impact on the general fund. So with that concludes my presentation at this time. I'm here. Any questions?
Thank you. Pro Tem Davis, did you have questions?
Yeah, I was just trying to get some clarification. I could not hardly hear some of the presentation. Basically, in this motion, we are asking for the increase for architecture engineering services for the Vision Theater and also for design and construction administration services, correct?
That is correct.
Those are the 2 things. Now, there had been an extension of work initially from an earlier date to 2024, right, currently now.
That's right.
Could you tell me in terms of
Sorry to interrupt you. Just the security guard, The gentleman with the comment card starting with B is not allowed back. Okay. Thank you.
And that's due to his repeated disruption despite 2 warnings from you of the meeting.
Yes.
In fact,
Thank you.
during this item as well.
Thank you.
In terms of the timeline that we endure in this motion, could you share with me the estimated time that you think it will take for us to help fulfill the request here in terms of what we are asking from this motion?
Yes. So to clarify, the work is completed already.
Oh, it's already
It's
completed.
already completed. This is just the follow-up board report in order to complete to be able to pay their final invoice.
Okay. Okay, great. And could you tell me the funding? I know Community Development Block Grant were one of the sources of funding. Is that correct for some of the tasks here? And then the MICLA, could you tell me what that acronym stands for, the MICLA?
Yes, the
Oh, Mikla.
Oh, that's MICLA.
funds. Yes, that would be the MICLA funds, and that is the I'm just searching for the correct terminology here.
Those are local funds.
Yes.
Yes.
Those are
And the
city funds.
CBDG are federal funds, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And in terms of the business inclusion, you discussed it. Were we happy with what we were able to capture in terms of business inclusion on the project?
Yes, I think we were very close to our goals. Now, given this was a almost 20-year project, 12
Yes.
years for these particular 2 tosses, multiple project managers and all that. Yes, we were very pleased with our results.
Right. So now, in fact, that these tasks have been completed, and of course now we're getting the approval to support and sustain the work that we've already done. Where are we overall on this project in terms of completion?
Well, overall, all of the design work with this architect is complete. They
Right.
have completed all of their services. The work is done, and that that work is closed out. Final negotiations with the contractors are just now for their final payment is being closed out, and I know that outside of that work, right now they're just doing other work not related to this request, but it's to bring in the new operator, and eventually we're going to be, to open the facility. So the work is largely done. It's just bringing in the new operator and doing some audio visual work outside of this architect's role.
Earlier, we had talked about the architectural integrity of the ceiling in the facility,
Mm-hmm.
and that required a special kind of architectural application. And so when you talk about we have completed the work, it included that specific specialized work as it relates to the completing of the ceiling. I think they had some historical requirements and all of that kind of thing involved some time ago. Does this motion entail the completion of that work that we had talked about some time ago? Or do you know?
Yes, I mean, there all of the design work under the permit work and under those inspections are completed for this restoration of the ceiling, which would included strengthening as well as the restoration of the artistic paint work there. If there is anything that develops in the future moving forward, as they're out there doing work installing the audiovisual things like that comes up in this historic building, then that would be addressed at that time. But for now, all of the work under this permit of construction is complete.
Great. And I'm glad to see that we have this motion before us today. Can you tell me when the facility will be open for the public?
I do not have that exact information, but I can follow up and get
Yeah.
that information.
Do we
to you.
have, to your knowledge, an estimated time that we anticipate, perhaps, or do we have a goal that we're aspiring to achieve in terms of opening the facility?
Yeah, I don't have that exact information. I do apologize. Like I said, I can follow up with that. It's all relative to this the new operator and work that's really outside of what we've done here with this architect, but I can follow up because I know that I can find that information out for you.
Sure. So basically, there's no way to be able to tell if we are in sync with what our vision was for completion of the project. There's no way to tell that at this point.
I believe it is moving on track, and not giving a specific date, but I believe that the opening is, within the year, within this coming year.
Okay.
But like I said, I really would like to confirm the exact dates with project manager, who's unfortunately wasn't able to be here today.
Not a problem. And I look forward to hearing back when you get an opportunity to get
Thank you.
information. Thank you.
Thank you, Pro Tem Davis. Any other questions on this item? All right, and do we have a motion to approve this item?
Second.
All right, Mr. Tursky, we have a motion by Pro Tem Davis and a second by Commissioner Corsan.
Great, we'll take the roll call for item 2, starting with you, Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Corsan.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
Great, all ayes, the item is adopted and carries forthwith.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fierce.
Thank you, Mr. Fierce. All right, then let's move on. We're not taking administrative item number 3.
Just for the record, item with 3 is withdrawn due to it doesn't have the council approval to come as an administrative item today.
Yeah. Okay. Then we have an oral report by Mr. Phillips. And this is
And, sorry, before Mr. Phillips comes, we do have public comment on item number 4 on the Zoom.
okay.
So we'll take caller audit LA. You'll have 2 minutes on item number 4.
Yes, hi. I don't know what's going to be in this report because, we always go first. So I am going to ask that Mr. Phillips please put the following in his report for me. L. Ron Hubbard they have a permit A to redo the bricks or to fix and grout the bricks on L. Ron Hubbard Way. We love our bricks, beautiful and nice. That's fine. The public is okay with that. What we don't like is that Scientology uses their volunteer ministers to do the work. These people work 110 hours for like $47 a week. That is not allowed by the law. The law, which I know you guys don't really like to follow when it's related to Scientology, but can you please discuss that? Also, the planters that are not ADA compliant, yet federal law, you don't want to comply because it's Scientology. That's why I'm starting to think you're all Scientologists or you're all scared of Scientology or something. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out because for the life of me, I cannot figure out why you're allowing this ADA noncompliance to continue. So if you can please address that. I would also like you to address the de facto street vacation that is being given to them since June 1st, going all the way almost to October now, and with their permit A's. So I want to ask Keith Mosey and Timu Yanis to please step down because you are giving Scientology such complicit and explicit favoritism at the expense of the community that is sick and tired of having these continuous closures. The community wants their street back. They want the harassment by PAC security and all the security that Scientology has to end. The nurses want to cut through the street to get to Kaiser. They're sick of it. The neighbors want to walk through that beautiful street non-molested by security.
2 minutes,
Okay.
thank you, caller. Our next public comment on the Zoom for item number 4 is caller Yvonne. You'll have 2 minutes on item number 4.
Thank you. In the report, I hope to have defined for me once and for all the definition of what is a major street improvement versus a minor street improvement. How does, what entails the classification? And I would also like addressed the requirements and why they are not being done regarding the posting of permits in public view for the duration of any issued permit, be it a special event permit or a construction permit. I share the concerns about using underpaid labor on public property and the violation of the R1 visa status of people that we have invited into this country and are obligated to make sure that when they are here, they are treated well and not treated as slave labor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, then we have an oral report on the status, for number 4, on the status of major upcoming street improvement projects by Mr. Phillips with the Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning.
Welcome.
How you doing, Vice President? Good morning, fellow commissioners. Nice color suit, Mr. Davis. Appreciate it. I would like to say once again for the record, my name is Langston Phillips. I'm a superintendent for street services with the renewal divisions of Streets LA. So this information is being provided so that we keep our public informed on our upcoming resurfacing projects and to minimize the impact on our community as well as any delays. For the additional information or concerns, they can contact our coordinating section for the Street Renewal Division, and the number is 213-847-3200. So currently, we have no major street projects scheduled in the Metro or Valley resurfacing regions, and the Metro districts consist of 1, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, and 15. And the Valley is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 12. So we have no major projects during the week of 9/22/24 through 9/28/24. We will provide an update to our 24-25 preservation program. So the week of September 22nd through September 28th, the Metro and the Valley regions, we will complete 26 projects, resulting in 10.94 lane miles. So we did all the press releases distributed and notifications were issued, and Streets LA has coordinated with the council offices to assist with this outreach for the stakeholders. And we have coordinated with the Los Angeles Department of Transportation for traffic control assistance if needed. And all this information is available on our website at streetslacity.org using the Resurfacing Ocean Projects icon. This concludes my reports. If you have any questions.
Thank you. Do you have any questions? Oh, go right ahead.
Superintendent Phillips, I wanted to ask about the workload. You did mention that you coordinate with the council offices. You've also mentioned that you have approximately 26 projects that you will be embracing moving forward. And in terms of looking at these 26 projects, and I realize you, again, work with the city council offices around that, in these projects, is there some goal or vision that the Bureau has focused on as it relates to how we implement them during holiday seasons? As I know that you're coming up on the holiday seasons around, obviously, your Thanksgiving and of course, one of the biggest holidays after that. So as you think about these 26 tasks that you're going to engage in, do you try to plan in a way that takes into consideration holiday seasons or not?
Yes, sir. So all our projects we're trying to complete will be completed before the holiday season. And we know during the holidays, people are off work and are at home. So we try not to disrupt that.
Okay. All right.
So during
Thank
the
you.
holiday season, we kind of minimize any work that we do.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
I think we're good. I appreciate it. Thank you. All right. And then we will go on then to our last item, since item number 6 has been continued as well. We have an update on the forest management.
And we'll take our public comment on item 5 before
Okay.
we have our presenters. Caller Audit LA, you'll have 2 minutes to speak on item number 5.
Yes, hi. I wish more than just Commissioner Davis would ask questions. That being said, I like to talk about the canopies. We need our trees, but they also sometimes conflict with electric lines. Okay, a friend of mine this week showed a video of the long span of the electric line, different parts of it actually on fire, and there's trees around. And we all know, like, you know, you can't put out that kind of fire with water. So the fire department was standing there waiting for, I guess, DWP to shut off the electricity. And first thing that came to my mind was, well, you know, thank God that on L. Ron Hubbard, their electric lines are underground. But they do have a lot of trees on like Fountain and that are overgrown. And I don't believe the electric lines are underground there. And so I'm thinking, what would happen if they went on fire with that big building that's already, you know, cracking from yet another earthquake, more damage. And we have a whole street that's blockaded from the fire department, you know, and how would that be handled? So I hope you take that into consideration, you know, when dealing with canopies, that the electric wires can catch trees on fire. Trees on fire can then catch buildings on fire. And buildings on fire, they do need water. Okay, unlike the wires, the actual buildings, um, things like that, they need, or if cars get caught on fire, they need water. Okay, and you really, it's really important to have emergency access. So even though L. Ron Hubbard, yes, their electricity may be underground, it would be nice to have that access though, so engines could maybe attack a fire from different angles.
Thank you, caller.
It
That's
could
2
happen.
minutes. Our next public comment on item number 5 is Yvonne. You'll have 2 minutes to speak on this item.
Thank you. And I want to thank you for your patience with us today. I travel and I am not blind yet, but I am getting there. And so and I'm a tall person. So I find a different aspect about the canopies, the undercut of the canopies over the sidewalks. I'm getting my head hit frequently, and part is I'm having to relearn to be more cautious because I'm losing my sight. But it would be beneficial if the trees under skirting was trimmed to at least 7 feet, maybe 8 feet. Maybe Shaquille O'Neal will visit us now and then. Forestry is important, and I do love the trees, but they do need to have a regular maintenance. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. That's the end of our public comment on item 5. I don't see any other hands raised.
Thank you. No more other calls. Okay, then this is item number 5, Office of Forest Management update. And go right ahead, Ms. Rachel Mallarich. Welcome.
Good morning, Vice President Villegas and Commissioners. I'm, again, Rachel Mallarich, the City Forest Officer overseeing the Office of Forest Management for the board in the city. Very happy to be here this morning to give you an update. As you may remember, our office is largely focused on the development of the city's first urban forest management plan, which I'll share a brief update on, but I'll start by highlighting some of the activities that have occurred since our last oral report in March. So again, we work with other departments and advise them on how they can incorporate good tree policy within the projects that they're working on. One of the ones we've been working closely with is Department of City Planning's Landscape and Site Design Ordinance update, which I'm really excited about, and the public can see on the planning website if they want to review that plan. A draft is available. We've also been in coordination with the group working on the climate vulnerability assessment. We participated in the Biodiversity Expert Council, and we've been also providing some guidance and advice related to Olympics events investments regarding trees. Just a couple of the things. We work very closely with our other city departments to help them incorporate good tree policy as much as possible. We also do ongoing coordination with our state and federal partners, research institutions, and nonprofit groups. And I want to highlight three things that we specifically, again, that's an ongoing week-to-week thing where we're working with external partners, but there's three events in particular I just want to highlight for the board. One is in July. You may be aware with the Inflation Reduction Act funding that was made available, there was a lot of urban forestry funds made available through the U.S. Forest Service grants program. 5 of those grants were awarded in LA County, totaling $29 million. Our office didn't apply. We weren't one of those applicants, but the U.S. Forest Service convened all of the recipients in Southern California, so beyond those 5 that were specific to LA, looking also at San Diego and Long Beach and the other cities in the area that received those grant awards. They convened all of us at CSUN, Cal State Northridge, in July to talk about how we could coordinate region-wide and ensure that those funds are really leveraged through the partnership across the grantees. And so while our office was not an awardee, we were included to ensure that coordination of a region-wide success of the implementation of those grants, again, totaling $29 million across LA County. The next one I want to highlight is our ongoing partnership with the USC Urban Trees Initiative. And you can see I do have one image of one of our research partners, Will Barrelson, who gave us a tour of his air quality lab. He does a number of projects related to air quality, some of those related to our tree questions. And we got to see the installation, the completed installation of a greenhouse that they have on campus, where they're going to be, as he calls it, interrogating trees. They're going to be asking the trees how they perform per air quality by having them in this greenhouse. So a tree species will be in the greenhouse, and they're monitoring the air quality within the greenhouse and seeing the specific impacts that that tree and that specific tree species has, and then doing things like having the tree be a little more stressed. Maybe they don't water it, and then see how it impacts how the tree performs per air quality. So again, getting into the weeds that we really enjoy, but we got to take a tour of, again, the new greenhouse in their lab, and got to hear some of their results from the semester's projects that they did in the spring semester. Again, we're just kicking off the fall semester now, but that's one of the highlights for us, was getting to go and walk alongside these scientists and really understand what they're working on. The next one was just last week. We had this wonderful symposium of urban forest research and practice that was co-hosted by USC, UCLA, University of California Cooperative Extension, and the U.S. Forest Service local research hub, the LA Urban Center. They hosted a convening where they brought practitioners and researchers together to share information and to work on better understanding how we can communicate about science and incorporate research into our best practices, and that the researchers understand what kind of information the practitioners need. So we had nearly 200 attendees at that event, and I spoke on behalf of the city, sharing about our urban forest management plan and our partnerships with researchers. Was very encouraged to see a number of our CFAC reps there and other members of the public, as well as the practitioners and researchers. Two of the other things that we do on an ongoing basis, one is supporting the Community Forest Advisory Committee, our CFAC, and I wanted to just update the board and provide congratulations to the current chair, Joanne D'Antonio. Her and other members have really been working hard to fill the seats, and I know that that's been also through collaboration with Mayor Bass's office to make sure that we have all the seats on the Community Forest Advisory Committee filled. They aren't all. We have one that's pending in one council district and then one council district that still has a vacancy. But they have been working tremendously hard to fill those seats so that we can have quorum when they want to provide advice to the city in their meetings, and also just to have better representation citywide. So I know that that's been a tremendous effort, and we've been happy to support them in those activities. Lastly, we provide ongoing support and oversight of the LADWP MOU between the board and the NDWP, that is the City Plants program. I'll just flag for the board that one of our key partners there, Craig Tranby, retired at the end of May, and so we are going through a bit of a transition with DWP as they consider who is going to be overseeing that program moving forward. We're still moving forward very smoothly, but that was a significant change in that program. So moving on to the UFMP. I want to provide you a brief overview of what the document is going to contain. So as a reminder, we've been working on this for some time now, And we are anticipating having a draft available for public comment by the end of this calendar year, and that is what we're working really aggressively towards. Again, as a reminder, we are writing the document in-house. So myself, Clarissa Boyajian, and Tansy Cole, which are the total of our office, are writing the document. So a little bit about the structure. It's going to contain a background section with some data analysis and kind of an overview of where the city is. And then it's going to have 6 chapter sections. 4 of those chapters will be relevant to the 4 pillars of urban forest management I have shared with the board before: planting, tree maintenance, preservation, and community engagement, which I'll remind us goes both ways: education to the public and hearing from them and incorporating their values and opinions into our practice and policy. So we'll have those 4 chapters kind of detailing the best practices in those areas and recommendations that we have. And then we'll also have a chapter focused specifically on equity. As we know, it's one of the biggest issues with our tree canopy is that it's inequitably distributed across the city, and an area where our office has been particularly focused in understanding and providing recommendations to address that issue. And then the final chapter section will be on what I'm currently referring to. We'll have a better title when the document's final, but I've been referring to it as a whole urban ecosystem. And that is to say, we're going to talk about how this plan interacts with other city documents and other entities in our region. So the urban forest spans across private property, public right-of-way. We're looking at trees across the city, and so that includes some of our partners like Metro, LAUSD, and Caltrans as some examples. But we're just thinking about how do we think region-wide about our trees, and how do we best incorporate, again, existing city policies. How do we align with the biodiversity goal? How do we align with the mobility plan, kind of the internal coordination, and then those external agencies that also have impacts on the urban forest that can impact the city's canopy goals. And that's in part because that's one of the things we heard from the public. I'm focused largely on making sure that we deliver really good programs and policies relative to the trees that we manage in particular, and the policies that we oversee. But the public said, hey, are you coordinating with LA Unified? Those are hubs in every single neighborhood. How are you going to be working with them? So we're including some commentary on that. Then the document will have a strategic plan, which is looking at a 50-year horizon, which is what CAL FIRE requires for a UFMP. We're looking at across 50 years, what are our goals? And then what are the outcomes that tell us that we're getting towards meeting those goals? And then what are the specific actions that we have to take to reach those outcomes, to reach those goals? And so we'll have the strategic plan detailing all the aspirational ideas, all the components that we've heard from the public and staff that need to shift in order for us to have a really excellent urban forest. And then there'll be the implementation plans. And this is looking at what actions is a city planning to take in the first 5 years. Most cities put their implementation plans and have all those actions together. We are splitting them out by department or bureau so that it's very clear. This is kind of the work plan for, say, Rec and Parks Forestry Division, or Bureau of Street Services Urban Forestry Division, or Office of Forest Management. We're going to have it very specific. These are the actions that this group is taking over the next 5 years. And I'll just flag that we're thinking about what's included in those implementation plan across 4 factors. One is, what did we hear from the public that was important to them? We wanted to really make sure that we flag and address those things. Second, what are those departments that manage those assets? What were the things that they already have on deck that they knew were priorities for them to tackle? So we're including those components. Then we're saying, as the Office of Forest Management, looking at data, looking at best practice, what are the high impact actions that we really think the city cannot wait on, that we need to take action now to have bigger impacts? And then lastly, we're considering resources. So we look through those first 3 elements, and then we go, what can we do? What is actually funded at this moment to be done? What can we do with existing staff resources, et cetera? And so the implementation plans are not entirely limited to existing resources. There are a couple big ticket items that we're contemplating including that we think are really important to flag. But by and large, we're trying to say this is realistically what we think is capable for staff to accomplish in the next 5 years. And then the goal then is that the document will be a living document, because we'll come back in year 5 to adopt an implementation plan for years 6 to 10. And so we'll be each time coming and saying, what have we completed? What is the new science telling us? And what are the actions that we think are the next most important for us to take from our strategic plan? So that is, I wanted to just provide that overview as we are working on the specific actions, but want to flag that for you all. I'm going to talk really briefly about community engagement, because you did ask last time to hear. We were just finishing our workshops. I think we had 2 more left when I last presented, and we hadn't received the final report. So I just wanted to flag a couple of the findings that stood out to us and are really guiding our movement forward. As a reminder, we conducted 52 workshops across the county, 26 in the city, 26 in unincorporated LA County. The 26 workshops in the city, we had a staff member from my office, either myself, Tansy, or Clarissa at each of those workshops. So we were able to hear directly from the public in addition to our nonprofit partners and the consultant. And we engaged 834 participants and nearly 2,500 folks in the questionnaire. So 834 in those neighborhood workshops that were distributed across the city. And then those participants in the questionnaire. And I just have a map of where they were distributed. Again, you can see that it's green dots all over the county. So what did we hear from our residents? We heard a lot of specific tree policy and program issues, and I'll just share that none of those were a surprise. All of the feedback that we received, whether it was about sidewalk uplift or maintaining our trees properly, or having good education on what good tree trimming looks like, I personally, and the staff as well, and in the report that we received, none of the themes there were new, which is good. It means that we have a good sense of what is needing to be changed and adjusted within the city. What we did hear was that there were some neighborhood-specific challenges and opportunities. So what was needed potentially in El Sereno was not the same as what we need in the Pacific Palisades, is not what we need in Silmar. And so our office, one of the actions that we're going to be recommending that we take after the adoption of the UFMP is developing neighborhood-specific canopy expansion plans. So not looking citywide, but looking at the neighborhood scale, looking at the data that we have available on tree canopy and on our tree inventory, meeting with the community to identify how we're going to get to a canopy target. And again, I'm going to just flag that because we are shifting away from tree numbers to, again, thinking about how much shade is there in our communities, how much area is covered by trees. And we're going to do that at the neighborhood level because sometimes preserving existing trees is the best way to enhance your canopy, allowing existing trees to continue to grow. Sometimes it's going to be relative to planting. So that's one thing, is we heard neighborhood-specific challenges and opportunities, and that's prompting us to say, let's make neighborhood-level plans. Next, we heard a lot about some confusion and a desire for transparency regarding how the city manages its trees, who does what. And I think that that's sometimes, when we've been meeting with council offices, we know that they hear a lot, well, I just need this person, someone to fix this thing. And so we are definitely, one of our goals in the UFMP is going to be looking specifically at how we make sure that we have really clear and transparent processes and that Angelinos feel included in our programs and policies. And then lastly, we heard frequently, do you have money to implement? We're telling you what we want to see changed. We're telling you what we want to see in our communities, where the opportunities are. Is there money to actually implement your plan after it's completed? And I think that that's beyond the scope of our office. Another one of our goals is funding, having sustainable funding for the urban forest programs and policies implementation. And so we will be providing recommendations around that, but that will obviously be at the decision of our policymakers relative to how they choose to budget. And that's part of the reason that, again, we have a goal around funding, and then we have this real consideration and implementation plan, being very clear with the public, this is what can be done in the next 5 years with existing resources, so that they aren't wondering, is this just a pipe dream that's never going to happen? We were really trying to be clear with them what we think we can do in the next 5 years with existing resources. So I'll wrap up just the next 6 months before I come back to board again. Right now we're in the drafting the plan phase. We're going to hopefully release it by the end of the calendar year for public comment, as I mentioned, and then we'll go through an adoption process to adopt the UFMP. And then I haven't mentioned this, but we're doing ongoing collaboration with the county. We meet with them on a weekly basis and are continuing to look at, within the activities that they're doing to implement or get ready to implement their community forest management plan. And when we're thinking about the next steps for our side, how can we leverage the resources on and expertise on both ends? How can we best serve the region as a whole? Because again, our residents benefit from trees across LA County, and the trees don't know which jurisdiction they're in, and we want to have that consistent management and a healthy urban forest across the region. So we're continuing to work with them on discussing things like pest and disease, wildfire, and things like that. And that is the end of my presentation.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Do we have any questions, commissioners?
No, I just want to thank her for the work that we're doing in the urban forestry outreach in terms of the practice of science and the science of practice that you're doing. I think that that is wonderful, and engaging our academic partners who help us do research and continue this work. And also, I think the collaboration you just mentioned with the county is something that certainly the mayor's office has talked about in many various policy areas that we work on, and how we can benefit from that. And obviously, you have felt that there has been an advantage in our collaboration with the county as well. So I wanted to compliment you on those two things that I've noticed in this particular report that help to enhance what we're doing in managing our forests. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Reyes?
Just want to thank you for this report as well. Every time you give us an update, it shows like clearly where we're headed, that we're headed in the right direction. And I do want to emphasize our Complete Streets program that we have for the city, so that we integrate your plan for urban forests to serve really a role in the Complete Streets movement, so to speak, integrating it into transportation, for example, traffic calming measures, reducing the air temperatures, especially now that we have heat storms here in the city of Los Angeles, and really providing that environmental and safety, reducing the environmental and safety hazards for our pedestrians and residents. So thank you for that. I just want to ask you for a complete vision. How do you foresee this plan that you're working on in the next 5 years? What are the top challenges that you foresee coming to the front of your program because of our climate change and funding restrictions, so to speak? Because we can talk about our plan, but what in reality, what do we envision within the next 5 years, given the resources that we have?
Yeah, and some of that is still in development, but I think obviously one of the big priorities for us is updating the protected tree ordinance and making sure that our preservation policies as a city are very strong. And that's something that we're working on kind of simultaneous with the UFMP and including recommendations towards that. So that will be, and some of the adoption of an updated protected tree ordinance may cause, it's going to take us some time to transition and implement that. And we want to make sure that that happens really well, but that will be significant. So that's one. And honestly, as I look at the document, we have, even talking with staff, sometimes there's a little bit of frustration. They said, well, we've known what to do. We just don't have enough resources to do those things. And again, I said, well, we're having a chance to elevate, bring all together across because currently there's a budget request in Rec and Parks Forestry, there's Urban Forestry Division. We have things, planning does actions related to trees, and they have a separate. So this will be gathering all together and saying, these are the ways that the urban forest could be elevated if we considered, and these are the ways that our office is recommending maybe prioritizing adding additional resources. So funding is the critical piece, mainly, and I'll say this is, and I don't think I'm going to say it because it's not going to be a surprise. The Urban Forestry Division within the Bureau of Street Services has been asking for enough crews to do a 5 to 7 year maintenance cycle in the past several budgets. Even before I came to the city, that was a topic of conversation. That still remains one of the best actions the city could take to maintain healthy trees and limit our risk and liability. Doing those 5 to 7 year inspections and then trimming as needed is still going to be one of the main things that we're going to ask for funding. That is not, it's not currently resourced at that level. We're at a 17 to 18 year trim cycle, and it's just not enough. So it is resource constrained, and I think that there'll be conversations about how we fund the urban forest and have what I've jokingly referred to as evergreen funding, and we'll be looking to partner with different parts of the city to think about different components of our leadership to think about how we move forward with obtaining the level of funding that we need to do this. But we are really trying to prioritize and be careful about which actions we really think, again, as you're as the person advising the city on tree issues, this is what I really think that we can't step further without addressing, but also being aware of the constraints that the city has.
Thank you for that. That's really a realistic, authentic view, and I really appreciate your candid response. And at the same time, I think there are other opportunities, like you mentioned, the partnerships with the county, for example, and also with our rec and parks. As they get funding, we could integrate some of our the elements of our plan with them. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. Any other questions? I just had a minor question. Rachel, thank you so much for your report, as always, so thorough, and I know that you've been working on this for such a long time. Just on your recommendations, you mentioned something, you mentioned just the need for, additional funding. And I was wondering if you're going to be including just the opportunity for our tree financing study, either to take place or to possibly be a part of the, the ongoing discussions that council's having on a new park measure. See if that can be included. I'm not sure, but that's just a
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you
possibility.
for flagging that. I have to acknowledge that after some significant delays, we have received final feedback from the CAO, and they have provided the additional resources that they had wanted us to include that we were very amenable to. So we are, again, the urban forest financing study was led by City Plants, and a draft was completed, I think, almost 2 years ago at this point. But we've taken some time on the internal side to make sure that it was ready. Not substantial adjustments to the actual content, but making sure that it covers some additional costs that, again, internally were identified after the study was completed. So we are planning to either work with City Plans to release the financing study ahead of the UFMP if possible, and if not, definitely be including within the UFMP the recommendations that the financing study laid out, which includes, as you mentioned, again, it both evaluated how much the city should consider spending on urban forestry to be in line with best practices, and then gave us some evaluation of what options we could use to meet those financial needs. One of which was a fee and fine study, which I'm super excited that Ana Tabuena Reddy, the Assistant Director at Bureau of Street Services, has started a Fuse Fellow project to look at a fine and fee study for their program. So we're already taking action on some of the financing study recommendations, even though it hasn't been published. And we will be including the bond potential bond measure or other kind of funding mechanisms in our report, definitely.
Great. Thank you. All right, I don't see any other questions. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, and Ms. Tursky, does that clear the desk?
Yes, that's the end of our agenda items today.
And we will not be having a management meeting today.
Great.
All right, thank you. We're adjourned at 11:28.